All right, happy Mother's Day weekend, you guys. I hope you're enjoying some of these crazy posts I'm putting up. It's crazy because we're living in a really crazy world. But let's not jump into that just too quickly. First of all, I want to say shout out to my own mom. Thank you so much for having me and being such an inspiration in so many different ways and teaching me so many wonderful things that have gotten me to stay healthy and trust my gut, which is a really big thing. And I think that's pretty much the root of what this talk is today, about moms and the idea of moms and their expertise in the idea of life. Life. It's funny, I don't have children, but I have plenty and plenty of friends and family members who have had children, and I've watched them grow, and I've watched how they go from just a single girl getting married. Hey, Diana. And then next thing you know, they're pregnant and they're on this instinct. All of a sudden, there's this natural instinct to gravitate towards what works and what's right for their own bodies. They listen. 150 years ago, earlier than that, people were having children and they were doing it and they were making it happen. In the last 60 years, I've noticed that the conversation of an expertise of a mom out of love and of life has been pulled away, and they second guess themselves. They leave the information even against their own instincts or what their body's telling them or what their intuition's telling them. They listen to outside experts. But the thing is, if you go and you look at what the medical industries have set up philosophically, how they approach even life or the idea, it's very much more experimental. If you go into, I've been researching a bunch the last few days, going on to all kinds of different websites of their projects, their research experimentations. It feels very clinical. It feels very void of care and love. It reminds me of, when you're a kid and your mom makes your dinner. It tastes so much better than takeout. It's a busy day here, so the dog's gonna be going in and out a lot. Okay, hold on. Okay, we'll go outside. You go outside. Go on. It tastes so much better when your mom or your grandma makes something. When your mom holds you. When your mom gives advice. It's all based out of love and out of instinct for life. It's a whole other ballgame when you have an outside source of folks that say they're expert because they go to school, they get a whole bunch of money funded by a lot of entities like the Gates Foundation or whatnot, and they're the experts. They don't listen to the moms. They don't really have to have the repercussions of what happens, and this is the conundrum of, I feel, what's going on now. This is just my personal opinion of what I've been seeing with my friends who are parents. They're forced into this conundrum of, I've got to be a good mom, I've got to do the right thing, and I guess I've got to take my child to the doctor. My gut instinct says that there's something better than what they're telling me, but they're the experts, so I have to give my consent. And then when something happens as a side effect, it's so difficult to try to wrap your head around the idea of wanting so badly to protect that you go into this justification mode and a denial mode. And no matter what evidence comes up otherwise, they will have to be right in their decision rather than change their mind and find a better way. Example, it says specifically on a lot of the different websites with the National Institute of Health, Regular, even Switzerland, Germany, big, big laboratories, big research foundations, Carnegie Mellon, all the different research places, they specifically say that heavy metals are very toxic. But they put it in light of environmental toxins. It's in your water. It's if you're exposed to lead, if you're exposed to these sort of things. Well, if you read the side effects of heavy metals, it's very similar to autism. Very, very similar. But they don't want to necessarily put the two together. Not only that, but a lot of doctors, if you ask them up until maybe even a year ago, you'd ask them what exactly is in the vaccines, they couldn't tell you. I know when I asked my vets about my dog a few years back in 2013, if they knew exactly what was in the vaccines, they said no, they have no idea. They had no idea. And yet they were taught through their school that that's what was the right thing to do, and that was health. So the frustrating thing is that you people tend to listen to folks they truly don't know or really know where their education comes from, how it's really being taught, like what's really being taught, and how a long time ago moms and the at-home doctors worked together to figure something out. A perfect example is a long time ago they all knew that most of these illnesses, a child's sickness, whatnot, was through an overgrowth of yeast, fungus, mold, or parasites. Again, malaria was a parasite. Polio, it's a parasite. Even right now, in some of these publications, they are talking about how disease is a parasite. And yet, there's a wall that goes up between healing the parasite, cleaning out and detoxing your system naturally by alkalining your body, and getting the parasite naturally out of your system without having to take a ton of expensive drugs. But when someone finds this out that's not officially a doctor, people want to dismiss it, even if the results show that that's exactly what it is. And if you do certain protocols, why is that? Well, it might go to the way society has dismissed the concept of motherdom and the nurturing thing, and they've taken more of the power outside. It's been a systematic thing. Starting off from birth, the first people to hold your child are the doctors, and they immediately take the baby, they give them all kinds of medicines or whatnot, and then eventually you get to hold your baby. If you go through the, I guess, normal way of in the hospital, the way you have children, then they create this whole system of, you've got to hurry up and get back to work because it's too expensive to stay at home and actually be there for your children. So, you put everyone else is having this power over your children instead of you. And there's nothing like the instinct of a mom. There's nothing like the instinct of nurturing and really knowing your individual child and really having the power to choose for yourself what is truly best for your child and what's best for your family, the best kind of food, having the ability to go out and make sure that the food that you choose is the best that you want, that the kids aren't eating junk food all day, making sure that they're not drinking tap water all the time, that you're actually going and creating a system where your family is actually drinking alkaline water, and they're naturally healing their body every single time they have a drink of water, because it truly is cleaning out their system from all kinds of different things. You're spending time with your child, teaching them how to learn how to clean their room, how important it is to have a clean, healthy environment. Spending time and joy with them, and really creating that bond. Nursing your child. I mean, nursing your child is huge for the immune system, huge. The friends and the family members that I have that have breastfed their children up to about 2 years old, their children are in such great shape naturally. Their immune system is absolutely amazing. It's wonderful, as opposed to the friends and the people I've seen that the children are on Nestle's as soon as they're born. They're not doing so well. They're immediately addicted to sugar. They don't like vegetables. They don't like to eat. They've got a lot of allergies. Allergies are another symptom of having parasites, an overgrowth of yeast, fungus, mold, and parasites in your system. So the child, if it has that, well, then it's naturally not going to want to have salads or food that doesn't feed the parasites. It's going to want to have food that feeds the parasites, because literally parasites, yeast, fungus, mold have a mind of their own, and they want you to eat what it wants, so it'll grow. And the mom just looks and goes, well, I guess I just have to make food for what my child wants, rather than realizing that you're literally just feeding the unhealthiness of it, if that makes any sense. Daycare. You don't know what your kid's learning in daycare. And there's been so many situations where all it takes is a few minutes and something bad happens. And yet they put so much pressure the last 15 years on moms to be like the super mom and have to helicopter over their children every couple minutes. And yet at the same time, they want you to have your child in daycare, and it's expensive. You don't know what's getting taught. You don't know what they're eating. You don't know all kinds of different things that they're learning. Then they go to elementary school. And you have people like the Clinton Foundation that literally says the earlier that we have your children, the better your children are off. Well, if you look at what they're involved in, I don't think so. I don't think so. No, guys, no. So, it's just all that kind of stuff. But we want our children to fit in, and so they go to school. And what are they learning? Who's funding the learning? STEM, science, technology, biotech, because we want them to have a life. We want them to make a lot of money. We want them to be successful. But if you notice how biotech is literally taking away the concept of motherdom, nurturedom, and changing the children's mentalities to everyone's an experiment. Let's experiment on Bobby today. That the human body is just another experiment. So it's okay to play around with it. Experiment on people, experiment on things. Just goes right on up to the Gates Foundation. They fund a lot of major Ivy League schools, all their research, R&D, all the medical industry. It's all there. There was an article that was up it was a press release for the Gates Foundation. A few years back, they were giving grants to UPenn on how to help the moms through mom wellness. And really what it is, it sounded really nice, but it's really a veil for abortion, and just making it sound like a very humanitarian thing to do, that, it's your body, your mind, and the idea, again, of the beauty and the wonderfulness of being a mom and of being a nurturer and being the protector and the nurturer of life is turned upside down. And we wonder why in our society we have this concept of princesses. Disney pushes the idea of being a princess, but they never talk about being a mom or a queen. They have in a fashion women wearing high heels and looking very, very sexy, and lots of makeup. And a lot of the makeup lines have a lot of toxins in them. Well, from the foot we'll talk from that fashion kind of sense, from the foot on up. You know, a woman's power is in the ground. I don't know if you know this, but you know, you're grounded in nature. Like, we are really attuned to life in this world, where if you tap into that, you need to be grounded and feel that. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'll be right out. Thank you. You feel grounded in that, and there's something special that happens when you're grounded, if that makes any sense. You know, you're barefoot, walking along the sand, you know, being in grass, just being around nature. You just feel more attuned to it, and all of a sudden, like, you just get these ideas of, I wonder what this plant does, or maybe I should garden and make that, or there's a lot of intuition. You know, that's why a lot of women gravitate towards wanting to be an herbalist, feeling very attuned with making homemade herbs, teas, you know, all those kind of things when you get tuned into that. But if you're wearing high heels, you're in the city, that all gets taken away. And there's, in this society of like, let's just look pretty, just look hot. But then where does that take you? So you're just going to sleep with a bunch of people? You know, that's very empty. It's like you're a doll. That's not the power of a woman. That's not a power. That's not your true power. I mean, the true power is truly in being a mom, in being that mother, you know, that nurturer. There's so much power there. And again, it's being taken away, even by fashion. It gets taken away by fashion, by biotech. It's getting taken away by the idea of, like, you know, educate yourself through that system, you know. And it's almost gone to the point, because the same voices that are trickle down educating our society is also saying, you're better off not having kids because we know climate change. Well, you know, they're kind of a burden on society. Well, you know, you're going to have a lot more freedom. Well, you know, you're more of a woman if you are a professional. You know, all these different things. And the magic's gone. The magic's lost. And for the children that are here that, you know, need to have a mom and a dad, you know, the family, keeping it safe. Why is that constantly being broken down? Why is it constantly being told that it's not good? Wives turning on their husbands and wanting the guy out, but then the guy has to pay all the bills, and they can't get along, and there's no balance. And, you know, all these different things, when the father can protect the family from a lot of different things. Why is that always getting broken down? And then big government loves to step in and go, hey, we can help the problem. Oh my goodness, there's so many interruptions. I'm sorry, guys, there's a lot going on here today. But why? Why is that? Happens all the time in a lot of different societies. Well, when you've got these same folks that are bouncing around wanting to be the end-all be-all of everyone's health, they also are majorly into stem cell research and youth rejuvenation. And if you look into that, you find that you realize there's a lot more going on under the surface. It's kind of like our society is the regular www dot of the internet. And did you know that 95% of the real internet is dark web? And what do you think goes on in the dark web? 95% is dark web. We're only seeing 5% of a lot of this reality, this virtual reality that's there. The nice sugar-coated topping. What's going on underneath? So, the next time that you're listening to people that are always saying that they're experts, but you don't really know them, and they profit from a lot of this stuff, Again, there's a reason why in the 20th century, and I say this over and over again, there's been a reason why there have been unending wars and constant wars. Because in the 20th century, it was a perfect excuse and guise to create the 5 biggest global economies that have been going on through war. There's human trafficking, there's drug trafficking, there's sex trafficking, there's child trafficking, and there's organ trafficking. And when you really look deep into those realms and you see what's going on, which is not pretty, people need moms. And moms can be warriors in protecting their kids from all that sort of thing. So that people aren't just imagining the commercial of a great life, they're actually living it. And there's a lot of wonderful moms that are out there that are living it, and they are protecting their kids. And a lot of dads are doing the same thing, and it's really awesome. But there's millions and millions of families that are broken apart, moms that feel that they can't protect their kids, and they listen to voices that say that others can do better. I just listened to the Clinton Foundation. The Clintons were talking about the idea of tracers, and that they can take children out of the home if necessary. The Queen just did a really weird interview a few days ago as well, and was like, and basically told Britain, it's probably time that if we need to, we're going to have to take your kids for public safety and health reasons. There's a few other leaders. There was one in Germany, I believe. I don't want to say anymore because I don't have it in front of me. But whenever you hear a leader saying that it's best for public health and for the sake of your family and for the sake of public health that we need to take your kids, there's a major problem. It's not a coincidence that that kind of conversation is starting to bubble up, just as in the last year and a half, a lot of the dark economies, the global mafias that were involved in all those horrible global trades have gotten shut down. So their built up resources have been shut down. And now, is it possible, I'm just going to pose this question, is it possible that now certain voices are trying to spin, fueling the same economies by virtue of a different false virtue? It's really easy, honestly, to stay healthy if you avoid toxins in your home, in your cleaning products, on your body products, in your food. And then if you are getting sick, you know how to navigate cleaning out your system, alkaline your body, take on charcoal pills, take natural food, give yourself some love, some rest, language. If you're constantly beating yourself up and you're constantly criticizing and judging yourself and those around you and just creating this negative environment, that's going to get people sick too. If you're stressed out, all kinds of different things. There's ways to stay healthy without having to put more toxins in your system and feed the beast in a certain sense. And I do believe that once a woman becomes a mom, she has an instinct for that. Whether she wants to trust it or not is up to her. But you all of a sudden get these instincts, these insights that you don't even know where they come from. It's just like this intuition. Like, maybe I should give my child some green tea right now. Maybe that'll make their stomach feel better. Or, I don't know, peppermint tea sounds really good. They have a stomach ache. Let's try that. Wow, they have attention issues. Maybe we should lessen the sugar in their diet. I mean, maybe they can't sit still. Well, are you asking them to sit still 24 hours a day and be on the computer when they probably need a few hours to run and be a kid? you know. It's important to trust your gut. And you know, the other thing that gets me is there's all these clinical trials of all these different things, but they never ask moms. Like, they never ask moms, what do you see going on? We don't have to experiment for 20 years on something. Just ask the mom what's going on. The moms are the experts on all kinds of different things. You know, they're right in it, and they individually know the child. You know, and there's a lot of free things that you can do that's not going to put your health at risk, and put your family's future at risk as well, and break up a lot of what's really, really good. So I'm grateful for my mom. She taught me a lot. And you know, there's a lot of great people out there that are doing it, and they're speaking it, and maybe we should start listening to them. Not necessarily me, because, you know, I'm just an observer, but for the moms that are really out there, and they're dealing with children that have issues, and they might know something that others might not know because they live with it 24 hours a day. Maybe we should be starting to call them the experts, rather than people that don't live with it every day, and they're in a lab all the time, and they're paid a lot of money to come up with all kinds of experiments, hope that it works, and if it doesn't, there seems to be no accountability for it. So there's that. I will do a video later on, not today probably, because there's just too much going on here, but I've been in my research, finding a lot of different connections between heavy metals, autism, cancers, and magnets, to prove that heavy metals literally are doing the damage in the body. Look up magnet therapy if you want to get a head start on it, and if you want to jump in on the conversation next time about what you found on that, that'd be really great. But there are metal magnet therapies that, through regular science, not even what some people call, you know, the whole holistic thing, they don't really dive into that, but through regular, you know, NIH kind of places, they have seen results in children dealing with all kinds of sicknesses, not just autism, because heavy metals can give you cancers, they can give you all kinds of problems. But the magnets, just in the sense of putting the magnet on you, and and by shifting where the metals go, shifts the perception of some of these folks, and sometimes there's healing in those places, which is really amazing, but it still stays in the body. So I'd like to take it a step further and say, okay, well, that's just proof positive that clearly there are literally heavy metals in the body. The magnets are responding to it, and by shifting them away from the certain place where there's the problem, you're bringing it away from wherever that issue is into a new place. But if you're not fully detoxing your body from the heavy metals, wherever the metals shift to, there's going to eventually be another issue. So, you know, looking into detoxing, there's foot baths, there's heavy metal detox patches, taking charcoal pills in your gut. Bentonite clay is amazing. You can get it at Whole Foods, and it's called Aztec clay. It's like $6.99, and you just cover your whole body with it. Of course, be alone when you do this, because you're very vulnerable physically to do this. But you cover yourself up, and what happens is that clay literally pulls the stuff out from your skin pores, and the clay sucks it up, and you just let the clay dry. It literally becomes like a desert on your skin. But the drier it is on your skin, the more powerful it gets. I've done this for probably 4 years now, and I do it probably once a month. I love it. It's amazing. And what are some other really good detoxes? Coconut oil and sun is amazing. And then drinking a bunch of alkaline water to flush it out is really, really good. But yeah, the charcoal pills are really great because the heavy metals apparently get sucked into your organs. They get pulled into the muscles, and you start having all kinds of issues, you know. So there's that. But anyway, moms, trust your gut, you know, trust your instincts. Love is an amazing conduit to discerning wisdom from falsehood. And I'm going to end this video with that parable from the Bible about King Solomon. And was it King Saul or King Solomon? Oh, I got to get back to my Bible studies. I'm not the best at that. But if you remember the story where the two women were fighting over a child, okay? The one woman's child had died in the middle of the night, and so she buried the child and then took another woman's child for her own. And the next morning, everyone wakes up, and the woman whose child was stolen immediately says, "Hey, you took my child." And she goes, "No, that's my child. There's something wrong with you." So they bring him up to the king. King's going to figure this out. Now, they don't have DNA testing, do they? They don't have to do tons of trial experimentations. They're not calling a bunch of witnesses and all this other stuff. The king knows a mother's love. The king also, thank goodness, had a lot of wisdom. And he was very clever. He knew the difference between false love and real love, which is a mom's love. And he said, "Okay, fine. You guys want to fight over this child? I'm going to split the child in two, and you guys can both have half." And the false mom was like, "Cool." The original mom was so horrified and so distraught and thinking something was going to happen to her child that she said, "You know what? Please do not do that to my child. If need be, let her have him. Just don't hurt him." Who's the mom? In this day and age, I feel a lot of outside voices are that false mom. They pretend to seem to have the best interest at heart for the children. But there's always a profit. And there's always experimentation. And it can come down to some really gnarly things, including, I don't want to get into it right now because it's Mother's Day weekend, but there's some really bad things that can go on if you don't have that heart of a mom to really protect your own child, and you put that child in the protection of people that are the false mom. And the real moms always know the love. And they always fight for the child's life, love, joy, best interest. Let them be the experts. Let's let them be the experts on their own children. That'd be good. All right, you guys, I'll see you later. Bye. Have a good one.